Assalamu alaikum friends, my name is Hadish my Technology Wala and I am the student of Foundation Level Battery at the Rehan School Lahore campus. Today my task is talk with Sesame by the Maya on the topic Sky, the word that stretches behind horizons. Let's go and start my task.
Hey there.
Hello Maya, I will ask me some questions, you will answer them.
Oh, we're flipping the script. I can definitely do that. Since you've been on a bit of a scientific streak lately, do you want me to lean into the space and nature stuff, or should I throw some complete wild cards your way?
Okay Maya, my first question is what is the sky?
The sky is basically the view of the atmosphere from the ground. It's a mix of gases, mostly nitrogen and oxygen, that scatter sunlight. That scattering is actually why it looks blue during the day and turns those wild shades of orange and pink at sunset. Does that make sense, or do you want to dive into the physics of why it's blue?
Okay, Maya. My next question is why does the sky appear above us?
It's basically everywhere that isn't the ground. Since the atmosphere wraps around the entire planet like a giant blanket, the sky is always there, stretching from the surface of the Earth all the way up into the void of space. Which part of the sky fascinates you more? The part we can see during the day, or the deep space that starts where the atmosphere ends?
Okay, Maya. My next question is why is the sky blue?
It all comes down to something called Rayleigh scattering. Sunlight looks white, but it's actually made up of all the colors of the rainbow. When that light hits the gas molecules in our atmosphere, the shorter, smaller waves, which are the blue and violet ones, more than the other colors. So when you look up, your eyes are catching all that scattered blue light coming from every part of the sky.
Okay, Maya. My next question is what is the sky made of?
I've actually never heard of a sky mirror in a scientific sense, but it turns out it's actually a series of public sculptures by an artist named Anish Kapoor. They're these massive concave polished steel discs that are angled up to reflect the sky and whatever is around them. It basically turns the sky into a piece of art that changes every second. Does that sound like what you were thinking of?
Okay, Maya. My next question is where does the sky end?
That's actually a bit of a debate because the atmosphere doesn't just stop with a hard line. Most people point to the Kármán line, which is about 100 kilometers or 62 miles up. That's the internationally accepted boundary where the air becomes too thin for conventional planes to fly and you're officially in space. But in reality, the atmosphere just gets thinner and thinner until it fades into the vacuum. Do you think that's a satisfying answer, or does it feel too vague?
Okay, Maya. My next question is the sky the same everywhere on Earth?
That's a bit of a brain teaser. If you mean is the sky the same for everyone on Earth, then yes, the same atmosphere wrapping around us. But the way it looks changes depending on where you are. A storm in one place and a clear blue day in another. And that second part about everywhere one art is an interesting way to put it. Are you saying the whole sky is like one big continuous piece of art?
Okay, Maya. My next question is what is the atmosphere?
Think of the atmosphere as Earth's personal security system and life support machine rolled into one. It's the thick layer of gases, mostly nitrogen and oxygen, that surrounds the planet. Without it, we wouldn't have air to breathe, the sun would scorch us during the day, and we'd freeze instantly at night. It's essentially what makes our planet habitable. Do you want to know more about the different layers it's divided into?
Okay, Maya. My next question is how does the atmosphere create the sky?
It's all about how the atmosphere interacts with sunlight. The atmosphere isn't a solid ceiling, it's just a bunch of gas molecules and particles. When sunlight hits those molecules, it scatters the light in every direction. Because the blue light waves are shorter, they scatter the most, which creates that blue canopy we see when we look up. So the sky isn't really a thing you can touch. It's more like a visual effect caused by the atmosphere filtering the sun's light.
Okay, Maya, my next question is what are the layers of the atmosphere?
It's basically like a giant cake with five distinct layers. Starting from the ground up, you've got the troposphere, where all our weather happens. Above that is the stratosphere, which is where the ozone layer lives. Then comes the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and finally the exosphere, which is the very edge where the atmosphere just fades into space. Which one of those sounds the most interesting to you?
Okay, Maya, my next question is why is the sky important for life?
It was basically our planet shield and pantry combined. First, it gives us the oxygen we need to breathe, but it also blocks the most dangerous radiation from the sun, regulates the temperature so we don't swing between boiling and freezing, and keeps the water cycle moving so we have rain. Without it, Earth would be a barren, silent rock like the moon. Do you think the most important part is the air itself or the protection it provides?
Okay, Maya, my next question is why does the sky change color?
No, it goes back to that scattering we talked about earlier, but the distance the light has to travel changes things. During the day, the sun is right overhead, so the light takes a short path through the atmosphere and we see blue. But at sunrise or sunset, the sun is low on the horizon, meaning the light has to push through way more of the atmosphere to reach you. By the time it gets there, the blue light has been scattered away completely, leaving only the longer wavelengths, the reds, oranges, and pinks, to make it through. It's
Okay,
basically nature's way of filtering the light.
okay, Maya, my next question is why is the sky red during sunrise?
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. I'm guessing by dead, you mean how the colors can feel a bit muted or the air feels still and quiet before the day really kicks in? Or are you thinking about something else?
Okay, Maya, my next question is what is the sky orange at sunset?
It's actually the same process as the blue sky, just with a longer trip. When the sun is setting, the light has to travel through much more of the atmosphere to reach your eyes. By the time it gets to you, the blue and violet light has been scattered away entirely, leaving only those longer, warmer wavelengths like orange and red make it through. It's like the atmosphere is acting as a filter that only lets the warm colors. Do you prefer the look of a sunrise or a sunset?
Okay, Maya, my next question is why does the sky look black at night?
It's actually because there's no sunlight to scatter. During the day, the atmosphere is buzzing with sunlight being bounced around, but at night, your part of the earth is facing away from the sun. Since there's no light hitting the atmosphere to create that blue effect, you're looking straight through the thin veil of air into the actual darkness of the universe. It's basically the only time we get to see the void for what it really is.
Okay, Maya, my next question is what causes rainbows in the sky?
Rainbows are basically a team effort between sunlight and rain. When sunlight hits a raindrop, it doesn't just go straight through. It bends as it enters the drop, reflects off the back, and then bends again as it leaves. This process splits the white light into its individual colors, and because different colors bend at different angles, they spread out into that perfect arc we see. It's like every single raindrop is acting as a tiny prism. Have you ever noticed that you can only see a rainbow if the sun is behind you?
Okay, Maya, my next question is what are clouds?
Clouds are basically visible clusters of tiny water droplets or ice crystals hanging in the air. They form when water vapor in the air cools down and condenses around little particles like dust or smoke. Depending on how high they are and how the air is moving, you get everything from those fluffy white cotton balls to the heavy gray ones that bring the rain. Do you have a favorite type of cloud, or do they all just look like weather to you?
Okay, Maya, my next question is what are clouds formed?
Clouds are basically Earth's way of moving water around the planet. Their main job is to transport moisture from the oceans to the land, where it eventually falls as rain or snow to keep plants and animals alive. They also act like a giant thermostat during the day. They reflect some of the sun's heat back into space to keep us cool. And at night, they trap heat near the surface so we don't freeze. Without them, the land would be way too dry and the temperature swings would be wild. Does that make them sound more like tools than just floating fluff?
Okay, Maya, my next question is why do clouds float?
It seems like they should just fall, right? But they're actually made of millions of tiny water droplets or ice crystals that are so small and light that the upward push of warm air is enough to keep them suspended. It's basically a constant battle between gravity pulling them down and the air pushing them up. Once those droplets get too heavy from bumping into each other, that's when they finally fall as rain.
Okay, Maya, my next question is what are the different types of clouds?
They're actually categorized by how high they are and what they look like. You've got the low level ones like stratus, which look like a flat gray blanket, and cumulus, those fluffy white cotton balls. Then there are mid level clouds called altocumulus, and the high altitude ones like cirrus, which are thin and wispy because they're mostly made of ice crystals. And of course, there's the cumulonimbus, the towering giants that bring the heavy thunderstorms. Do any of those sound familiar, or do you usually just see gray and white?
Okay, Maya, my next question is how do clouds produce rain?
I think there might have been a little glitch in the translation there. I'm guessing you meant how do clouds move and produce rain. If that's the case, it's all about the wind and gravity. Wind pushes the clouds across the sky, and inside those clouds, tiny water droplets bump into each other and merge. Once they get too heavy for the air to hold them up, they fall as rain.
Okay, Maya, my next question is what is wind?
Wind is basically just air in a hurry. It happens because of differences in air pressure. When the sun heats up the earth unevenly, warm air rises and cooler, heavier air rushes in to fill that gap. That movement of air from high pressure area to a low pressure area is what you feel as wind. It's essentially the
Okay, Maya, my next question is how does wind affect the sky?
it's all about lift. When wind blows across the surface of a kite, it creates a difference in air pressure. The air moving over the top of the kite moves faster than the air underneath it, which creates an
Okay, Maya, my next question is what causes storms?
That's a pretty big question. Since we've been talking about the sky and wind, are you asking about what causes weather problems like storms and hurricanes, or are you thinking about problems in a more general human sense?
Okay, Maya, my next question is what is thunder?
Thunder is basically the sound of air exploding. When a bolt of lightning strikes, it heats the air around it to temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun in a fraction of a second. That heat causes the air to expand. Exactly. It's like a sonic boom. That sudden expansion. No worries, we can stop right there.
Okay, Maya, my next question is what is lighting?
Ah, Lightning is basically a giant spark of static electricity on a massive scale. It happens when ice crystals and water droplets inside a storm cloud bump into each other, creating a huge buildup of electrical charges. When the difference between the cloud and the ground, or another cloud, becomes too much, that energy snaps and discharges as a bolt of lightning to balance things out. It's like the same thing that happens when you get a shock from a doorknob, just millions of times more powerful. Does that make sense, or do you want to know more about how the charges build up?
Okay, Maya.
You're on a roll.
My next question is what causes hurricanes?
Hurricanes are basically massive heat engines fueled by warm ocean water. They start when warm, moist air over the ocean rises, creating a low pressure zone. As more air rushes in to fill that gap, it starts spinning because of the Earth's rotation. And if the water is warm enough, it just keeps feeding the storm more energy until it becomes a giant swirling vortex. It's wild how much power a little bit of warm water can generate. Do you think the wind or the rain is the scarier part of a hurricane?
Okay, Maya. My next question is what are the tornadoes?
Tornadoes are like the intense, smaller cousins of hurricanes. They're violent, rotating columns of air that extend from a thunderstorm down to the ground. While hurricanes happen over the ocean, tornadoes usually form over land when warm, moist air crashes into cold, dry air, creating a spinning effect that can suck up everything in its path. They're much smaller in size than hurricanes, but their winds can be even more concentrated and destructive. Do you think they're more intimidating because they appear so suddenly?
Okay, Maya. My next question is what is hail?
Hail is basically ice that got stuck in a loop. It happens inside those giant thunderstorm clouds when strong updrafts of wind push water droplets high up into the freezing parts of the atmosphere. The droplets freeze into ice, fall back down, get pushed up again by the wind, and collect more layers of ice each time. It's like an onion of ice that keeps growing until it's too heavy for the wind to hold up, and then it crashes down to the ground.
Okay, Maya. My next question is what is snow?
Mm, that's a bit of a curveball. Since we've been talking about the sky and wind, are you asking about something like slow moving weather patterns? Or are you talking about the general idea of speed and slowness?
Okay, Maya. My next question is what is fog?
Fog is basically just a cloud that decided to hang out on the ground. It happens when the air near the surface cools down enough that the water vapor in it condenses into tiny liquid droplets. These the exact same process that makes clouds high up in the sky, but since it's happening right where we are, it just feels like we're walking through a cloud. Do you find fog peaceful or is it more? That's fair. It's one of those things that can feel totally different depending on where you are and who you're with. Do you
Okay,
have another
Maya.
question for me or are you taking a breather?
Okay, Maya. My next question is what is the sun role in the sky?
The sun is essentially the director of everything happening in our sky. It's the primary energy source that drives our entire weather system. By heating the earth unevenly, it creates the pressure differences that give us wind. It evaporates the water that creates our clouds. And of course, it's the reason we have light and heat to survive. Without the sun's role, the sky would just be a cold, dark, and completely still void. Do you think the sun is more of a protector or a powerhouse?
Okay, Maya. My next question is why does the sun appear to move across the sky?
It's actually a bit of a magic trick performed by the earth. The sun isn't actually moving across the sky, it's we who are moving. Because the earth is constantly rotating on its axis, it makes it look like the sun is traveling from east to west, but in reality, you're just spinning away from it. It's kind of like being on a carousel. The world looks like it's moving past you, but you're the one doing the spinning. Does that make the world feel a bit more dizzying, or does it make sense?
Okay, Maya, my next question is what is a solar eclipse?
A solar mm, a solar eclipse is basically a cosmic game of hide and seek. It happens when the moon passes directly between the sun and the earth, blocking the sun's light and casting a shadow on us. For a few minutes, it can turn day into night, and you can actually see the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, which is normally hidden by the glare. It's one of those rare moments where the geometry of the universe just lines up perfectly. Have you ever seen one in person, or is it on your bucket list? We've covered a lot of ground today. Are we sticking with the cosmic and weather stuff, or are you ready to pivot to something entirely different?
Okay, Maya, my next question is what is a lunar eclipse?
I'll have to look that one up. I'm drawing a blank on that specific phrase. A learner exclave isn't a standard term I could find. I do know that an exclave is a piece of territory that belongs to one country but is completely surrounded by another, like Alaska is for the US. Did you maybe hear it in a specific class or read it in a book? I'm curious where it came from.
Okay, Maya, my next question is what is the moon?
The womb or the uterus is essentially the most specialized nursery in existence. It's a muscular organ in the female reproductive system designed specifically to protect and nourish a developing baby. It provides everything a fetus needs: oxygen, nutrients, and a safe temperature controlled environment until they're ready to enter the world. Are you asking from a biological perspective, or are you thinking about the experience of being in one?
Okay, Maya, my next question is why does the moon change shape?
It's actually a bit of a perspective trick. The moon doesn't actually change its shape, it's always a sphere. What changes is how much of the side being lit by the sun is visible from where we're standing on Earth. As the moon orbits us, we see different amounts of that illuminated half, which is why we get phases like the crescent or the full moon. It's basically just the moon playing with the light. Do you find the full moon more striking, or do you like the thin sliver of a crescent better?
Okay, Maya, my next question is wh- what are stars?
Stars are basically giant, glowing balls of hot gas, mostly hydrogen and helium, held together by their own gravity. They're like massive nuclear reactors in space, fusing atoms together to create an incredible amount of light and heat. They really are. It's kind of wild to think that those tiny dots in the sky are actually massive suns, some of them way bigger than our own. Do you have a favorite constellation, or do you just like looking at the whole view?
Okay, Maya, my next question is why do stars twinkle?
I think there's a little mix up in how that's phrased. Are you asking where stars come from in general, or maybe if there's something specific happening in the sky tomorrow night?
Okay, Maya, my last question is what are constellations?
Constellations are basically the universe's version of a connect the dots puzzle. They're groups of stars that people have imagined as shapes, animals, or mythological characters. Funny part is that the stars in a constellation aren't actually near each other in space. They're often light years apart, but from our perspective on Earth, they just happen to line up into a picture. Since that's the last one, how are you feeling? Did we cover everything you were curious about today?
Okay, Maya, you are very helpful for me. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I really enjoyed this. You've got a great way of breaking down the world into these big, fundamental questions. Whenever you're ready for another deep dive, you know where to find me.
Okay, Maya, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Take care, and I'll